Imagine getting paid just for sharing your thoughts on products and services you use every day. With Survey Junkie, it's that simple. Click on the link in the video description to discover how you can start earning today by taking surveys.
Germany has updated its strict wartime measures for the first time since the Cold War as the country's leaders prepare for the possibility of conflict by the end of the decade. The federal government has presented shocking new changes that could see Germany return to compulsory conscription, the evacuation of citizens and food rationing if war breaks out on the continent. In the event of war, Germany would also look to protect its civilian population by facilitating makeshift bunkers in the subway, preparing hospitals for a sudden spike in the number of patients and storing emergency food reserves in secret locations. Wartime measures would also impose outright bans on people quitting their jobs in key sectors, forcing the media to publish updates and order companies to only produce goods for defense purposes. In the worst-case scenario, the government is prepared to ration and stockpile food to ensure civilians receive one hot meal per day while stockpiling water for firefighting purposes. Updates to the 1989 Framework Directive for Overall Defense, RRGV, outline the measures Germany should expect to take in the event of war as Ukraine's supporters in the West plan for the worst-case scenario. It follows revelations NATO is planning new avenues to rush U.S. troops through Europe to front lines around Ukraine in case the ongoing conflict spills over into Western Europe. Germany's war plan will likewise include means to move NATO troops through the country to the eastern flank, where the armed forces are to be based. The plan acknowledges private companies may have to make their vehicles and IT infrastructure available to the Bundeswehr if required for the war effort. Doctors, psychologists, nurses and vets may also be repurposed in military and civil service roles. Shockingly, compulsory service for conscripts will be reinstated in the event of war, allowing citizens to be drafted at any time. Germany abandoned military service in 2011 but, like Britain, has mulled the possibility of its return in recent years. After a long period of underinvestment into the military, Germany finally hit its NATO target of spending 2% of GDP on defense for the first time since the Cold War this year, with Defense Minister Boris Pistorius urging that Germany must be ready for war by 2029 this Wednesday. Updating the 1989 War Preparation Framework could be a sign of genuine intent but paints a pessimistic picture of the mood in Berlin. In the event of war, Germans must be prepared to help themselves first, the document acknowledges, with the state recognizing it will not have the resource to offer help everywhere at once. Due to Russian aggression, we have a completely changed security situation in Europe, first and foremost among our Eastern EU and NATO partners such as in the Baltic states, but also due to hybrid threats such as cyber attacks, espionage and disinformation here, he said. The state will advise people to find shelter in solid construction basements, underground garages, or subway stations in the event of air raids, as attacks may occur with sometimes extremely short warning times. The guidelines are intended to ensure relevant actors, including civil servants, the armed forces and aid organizations, know what their responsibilities are in times of crisis, according to the Interior and Defense Ministries. The overall defense of Germany is a task to which we must all contribute, state and civilian institutions as well as each and every one of us, said Federal Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, SPD. The authors note that threats from cyberspace and hybrid warfare have changed the state of play, with an updated framework looking to better prepare for the new age. Thus the document outlines the apparent necessity of sharing correct information quickly via radio, internet and through applications. The document also spells out the importance of relaying warning information about chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear hazardous events. Weather information may be passed on to the military and withheld from public broadcast in extreme cases. The public may be expected to tolerate rationing of food, with the Ministry of Economic Affairs responsible for setting prices and introducing ration cards. The Ministry of Food may also have to ration distribution in the event of a supply crisis. Wheat, rye and oats, calorie D.